This is Doc. I want to welcome you today to this show, a special co-branded episode with Joshing Around. You can find that over at Tim Hunter's feed. I just wanted to welcome you all to the prescription, and this was such an honor to share this time with Chris Gannon and Tim Hunter, to share this time on this podcast to give our love and respect to the Joshi pro wrestling scene, specifically to Stardom, because I think all three of us laid it out that we felt that Stardom didn't get all the love that they should have, considering that the 5-Star Grand Prix was probably the tournament of the summer, and considering that Stardom itself is doing record business that hasn't been seen in the world of women's pro wrestling since, 30 years ago. Please enjoy this episode. I enjoyed recording it with them. Please just enjoy this co-branded episode of Joshing Around and The Prescription. And this is Doc. Thank you so much. This is a special show I'm doing today because I have with me here two really great guys, and I'm going to keep this clean for the most part, so if you can excuse me, I'm going to do my little bit of AKAs. This is Doc, aka Dr. Lariat, aka the genius of the Skyflakes, aka, it is Yan Yan Bigelow, aka Bull Nakano's hairdresser, aka your host. And I have with me here two guys who have unbelievable love for Joshi, for women's pro wrestling, for Japanese women's pro wrestling. And today we're going to discuss Stardom, but we're going to discuss a lot of things, and I'm going to introduce them. We have one of the best Joshi podcasters out there with his podcast Joshing Around, Tim Hunter. How you doing, man?
I'm doing fine, thank you, Doug.
And also we have Big Cannon, Chris Gannon, one of the best wrestling photographers there are in the world. How are you doing, man?
Pretty good. My ego is getting inflated every time I talk to you, so thank you.
Yeah. And today, while starting out the start of the show, this is something near and dear to my heart. Joshi, or Joshi in Japanese, for people who don't know, Joshi just means woman. Girl, and for me, growing up, I watched things I watched All Japan Pro Wrestling, I watched WWF. On one of the last shows I did, we talked a little bit about WCW, because for WCW, for a lot of people, was their introduction to a couple people, to Meiko Sanomura, who we see today as a legend, to Akira Hokuto, to Bull Nakano, Luna Vachon, Medusa. We're talking about legends in wrestling, not just legendary women wrestlers, but legends. And for my start in this whole thing was I loved Bull Nakano as a kid, because there was nobody that looked like us, like me as a Filipino American, Asian American kid growing up. We didn't really have much Asian wrestlers, but when I saw my sister could speak to this, when we saw Bull Nakano on TV, we marked out. When we saw Bull Nakano bash people in the heads with her nunchucks, when we saw Asia Kong smash people's faces with that spinning back fist, it spoke to us. And so we had rented from our video store
there's All Japan Women's, and one of the big shows there at the time was All Japan Women's in the Big Egg. That was the Tokyo Dome. They had sold that out. One of the main events was Bull Nakano versus Alundra Blaze for the WWF Women's title, and that show started like my love affair with Japanese women's pro wrestling. And here we are today discussing the top women's promotion in the world, no matter where you are. And for my money, some of the best wrestling in the world. We're going to talk Stardom. And I want you guys to tell me about your history with this promotion, with this style of wrestling, with these women. Whoever wants to start, you can go ahead and tell me the story. And, I'm sorry, Tim, but I'm going to give Chris the floor here because he was about to tell us a story when we started. So go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, so basically my introduction to Joshi wrestling was via my best mate and my housemate at the time, Tom, who was a big Chikara fan, and he had the King of Trios tournament on. So watched the 2016 one that was headlined by Sendai Girls versus JWP, and just thought it was awesome. And then, the next year, Chikara did their King of Trios tournament in Wolverhampton, which not too far from where I live. So obviously, I had to go to all three shows for that. And again, they got Team Sendai Girls in. So that Team Sendai Girls being Cassandra Miyagi, Dash Chizako, who I know you're a huge fan of, and Meiko Satomura. Yep. And then the Mae Young Classic, first Mae Young Classic happened, and I can't remember if that was before or after that King of Trios, but it was cool getting introduced to all these women's wrestlers from around the world, and Tom got into Stardom, so I started watching with him as well. And when we went to Japan the following January for the Dome show, first show we went to was a Stardom show at Shinkiba Ring. And yeah, I've been following the promotion ever since. I think peak of my fandom was definitely 2018, 19, 20. I'd say probably slacked off a little over the last couple of years, but still still checking out quite a lot, still keeping up with the promotion. And so the story, the aside I had was a couple of weeks ago. Do you know the documentary Gaia Girls?
Yeah.
So they were doing a special screening of that in London, and with a Q&A by the director and by Meiko Satomura. So we went along to that, and that was a very cool event, and very, very interesting Q&A afterwards, especially Meiko talking about what went on then versus how she approaches training now. I think it's a lot nicer now, to be honest.
I remember that there was a thing where she threw a drop kick with intent to hurt.
Oh,
oof.
Yeah,
and
that's the famous scene.
See, that was my interpretation when I saw it the first time. Watching it back now, I think, as much as it was a tough love style of training, I think what she was trying to teach was that she had to keep her head up all the time, had to be prepared for stuff like her opponent suddenly pulling out a drop kick and making sure that she was ready to take a bump. And the fact that she wasn't meant that she got kicked in the face. And the point that Meiko was trying to impart on her was that, if it was anyone else who did that drop kick, they wouldn't have been as precise, and they probably would have actually really done some damage to her, which, considering the mouth bleed says quite a lot.
Yeah, to get that context now, that makes perfect sense. But documentaries are always gonna dramatize everything, right? So when we look at that movie, we look at the it's tough love. It's sort of, some people will call it abuse because we're talking about teenage girls in these dojos.
Yeah,
but
I don't. What to make clear, I'm not saying the approach to training was good, but also I feel these people are performers, and they know when a camera is on them, and they know when they're being watched,
Yeah.
and they also want to sell a certain thing. And like, I think the thing that Chigusa really wanted to sell was like, how tough and how monstrous and how like overwhelming this sort of training is and this sort of lifestyle is, and how monstrous she is and was in particular.
Yeah.
Which might not necessarily have matched what went on if the cameras weren't there.
Yeah. Like my history with that movie was I kind of like it was one of the first like wrestling documentaries that you would see posted on YouTube, right?
Hmm.
And like it was just really interesting because it had like that British person narrating the whole story, and it's a nice little insight into like the world of dojos back then, and when I like look at the history of it, one of the big like one of the big shows that came out last year was the Dump Matsumoto show, right? Uh,
Hmm. Yeah,
and
Queen of
like
Villains.
yeah, Queen of Villains, and like it showed a little bit about like the dojo's lifestyle, how like they were all put like in a house. They had those three rules: no smoking, no drinking, no boyfriends, and like how like things back then were so pretty much like you were kind of stuck like in a lifestyle where you were until you reached the age of like was it 26 when they made people retire.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you were kind of stuck living this lifestyle until you're 26, and then you're old enough to be married. Um, and then there was this other like I know I had sent this documentary to Tim, right? It was this
I haven't had the
French.
chance to watch it yet. Sorry, Doc.
Yeah, I'll send it over to you, Chris, too, and then we'll talk about it probably off air sometime. But like
Oh,
it's
brilliant.
basically it's a French documentary. They follow All Japan Women's 1991. So you see Bull Nakano, you see Asia Kong, you see Manami Toyota, Akira Hokuto. You see all the stars. You see Lioness Asuka. You see all the stars right on there, right? And like it's kind of like a fun little. It's more of like a fun little jaunt where they show like the lifestyle of them traveling on the road, more of them like being like pretty much. It makes you feel like they're in a circus, right? And that's kind of like how the captions like make you like feel like, oh, they're just a traveling show, and then it shows them like in out of character. So I think at the time like Bull Nakano was like 22 or 23, right? And then she's playing Super Mario World on NES, and it's funny to see like all these like you would see these women like as like harsh big bruisers, but then behind backstage they're just like they show them with their dogs, they show them all like being friendly and making jokes and getting along, and I think um, yeah it's pretty fun. Well, from that documentary it made like the lifestyle, it made it look like hard, but it also made it look fun, and I think that's something that people should look at also as a documentary because uh, it might have been 10 years before Gaia Girls, but I think it's a pretty interesting look into the lifestyle. And Tim, I just wanted to get your story on how about you got into Joshi.
Oh yeah, so I'm like way late compared to you guys on it. My first introduction basically I mean my first introduction to a Joshi wrestler at all was probably Asuka in the WWE, like one that I actually really followed. I knew about Bull Nakano, the WWE, when I
Yeah.
used to watch the WWF as a kid. But like Asuka was always my favorite wrestler in WWE when I was still watching in like 2016 to 2018, I guess. But my real like dive into Joshi didn't begin until 2021. It was kind of like it was still kind of COVID times, and I wasn't doing very well like psychologically, I guess. I was kind of depressed at the time. Was kind of in my hole at home, not leaving the house, and I just heard about this match between Utami Hayashida and Shuri, the one in June, which got like 5.5 stars from Meltzer and stuff. So I checked that out, on a whim, just subscribed to the service without ever having watched any Stardom match before. And yeah, I was just so blown away by this one that I just completely immediately fully dived into it. Watched like earlier matches from the year, started watching like the big shows from the Cinderella tournament, and in April the Osagon Queenum, I guess. Was it called that back then? I think so. And yeah, that's when I started like fully enveloping myself with Stardom, and then of course like branching out to other Joshi promotions too, trying to watch as much as possible. And yeah, I've been like in love with it ever since, I guess. Yeah, it was just like, I don't know, there was something really special about it to me, like just the way they were able to like rope me in as the audience, and just the way they were able to convey their emotions and their struggle and their fight was something I've never really experienced like that before. So I was really like immediately blown away by it. So yeah,
One of my favorite
that's basically
things.
my origin story.
Oh,
Sorry.
that's great, man. One of my favorite things about the style of Joshi is the style of women's pro wrestling in Japan is like whenever they do the gut double stomps, it's always done full force, whether it's from the top rope or just from standing. I love
Oh.
seeing these girls get stomped in the stomach. I'm not sure why. No, don't read into that. Anything into that. It's really like you like see them jump on someone's stomach and hear all the air come out. It's so sick.
Doc,
Yeah.
Doc, please, my parliament has passed the Online Safety Act. I'm not sure this qualifies.
I like, we're gonna talk Stardom, but like we said that earlier already, but you mentioned Senjo, you mentioned that like one of my favorite women wrestlers over the past like maybe 15 years has been Josh Shishako, because the first time I
Love
saw
Ash.
her, like she has this attitude about her where she doesn't give a damn, and she started as as a pretty girl. I mean, she's pretty, but she started like as a poppy J-pop. That's how they did it before, and then she eventually became just like a punk, and it rules. One of my favorite matches of the year this year is Hazuki versus Dash, and they had that in Senjo. It was a hardcore match, and I love that because those are two of my favorite. Those are two of the best workers right now in the scene, and I recommend people watch that. I'm not gonna spoil it here for you, but there's some really sicko stuff that happens in that match that I think you guys would like.
I'm seeing Dash in a few weeks. He's coming to Eve. It's going to be her and Millie McKenzie versus Nina Samuels and Benny.
Oh, that sounds excellent.
That's
sounds
so good.
excellent.
Yeah,
I'm really jealous.
yeah, looking forward to that so much.
Yeah. And like I brought you guys here because there's something that kind of disturbed me over this summer. There was the G1 that everybody shit on. Let's keep it 100, okay? People did not like the G1 this year. Like, I mean, some people did, but then some people are paid to like it. Wink, wink. But like, I did not have like any. I didn't really leave that with much of anything. What I did enjoy this summer though was the 5-star Grand Prix held by Stardom. To see, and did you guys watch the whole thing, right?
I haven't. I've watched some of it, but basically, most of my wrestling watching these days is via Wrestle Universe, just because it's a lot easier to put up on my TV.
Yeah.
So that's kind of. I think that's kind of why my Stardom watching has kind of slacked off a little over the last year or so, just because other stuff's just a bit more convenient.
Yeah, I pretty much watched it all, which is pretty crazy actually, because I was not at home for like a big part of the 2 weeks of like the middle 2 weeks of it happening, I guess, not the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So I missed like 6 or 7 days while I was like on vacation, and I had only 2 days, I guess, until I went on the next vacation before to London to Forbidden Door. And like in those 2 days, I was just like slamming one Stardom show after the other just to watch it, which was kind of psychopathic, I guess. But I somehow got through it all. So yeah, I did watch it.
Were you spoiled on this already, Chris? Or I don't want to spoil
Oh,
it
don't
for
worry.
you
I
if you
know,
watch it.
I know all the results, and I probably will
Okay.
go back and catch up on some of the matches. But I don't think I'm going to
Okay.
be watching it all.
I'm gonna cover like these girls, right? That these women that really shine during the tournament. Rina, Azumi, Momo. Okay. All of them are like 10-year veterans because they started when they were 11, which is like kind of crazy when you think about it. But yeah,
Yeah,
they all started really young. They're like I could be their dad, which is like kind of sad for me.
yeah. I think
But
like Azumi is what, like 23, and she is
yeah,
by
Yeah.
far the most tenured member of the Stardom roster.
yeah, which
Yeah, I mean, Rina is only 18, but
Yeah.
she's like insane for an 18-year-old now.
Yeah,
Like
Man.
this tournament was like her star making coming out performance, I guess, and she's just incredible for 18 years old, especially.
Yeah, I bring up those three: Rina, Azumi, and Momo. Momo has been there for so long, put in so much work. It's been like what 5 years, 6 years since she won the white belt. So to see her go on,
yeah,
She lost it 6 years ago, I think.
yeah. But I say because she still had it like when they did their New York show, and then she lost it to Arisa Hoshiki not long after that.
Right.
to see her work, get those victories over who she got, man. I love Sorry, but fuck you, Sorry. I was so on team Momo at that match with the promo she cut.
Yeah.
Was so good. Get out of
Yeah.
here. I wish somebody would have cut that same promo on Takeshita, but I digress. Just like that attitude, and I think lately she's been wearing white a lot more. So like I kind of think we might be going towards more of a face Momo, especially if she's gonna face off with with Saya. Also, Saya was so good in this tournament. The less said about Brie Priestley, the better. I mean, she was okay. But
I mean, she did give Saya her worst match by far of the tournament.
Yeah.
So.
good God, Bozilla like just recently debuted and got to show out in a tournament, and like she flipped a lot of people from where she was at when she started at Marigold. So yeah, the work in this tournament was so fantastic. And what disturbs me is like a lot of the major shows, I'm not gonna name them, they didn't really talk about this tournament. They talked about how much they disliked, say, what AEW was doing for Forbidden Door, or they talked about how much the G1 was lacking this year. But for one of the tournaments that's actually on fire as far as like quality, it's so weird that the 5-star Grand Prix didn't get any like. There was nobody that really covered it with that wasn't a Joshi podcast, and I think that's pretty messed up.
Well,
Yeah, that's kind of what. Sorry.
Just so just Joshi in general, just unless Dave Meltzer knows someone who's close to someone in the company, just kind of doesn't get covered very much. And I thought it was ridiculous that All Star Grand Queenum this year had what, like 7,000 people in attendance. Was it?
Yes, 7.5.
Yeah, which is like that's going to be one of the highest attended shows of any company this year, and it barely got mentioned by anyone.
It's like it's the most attended Joshi show in probably 30 years. Like for sure in I think 20. In the previous 5 years, you can never really count on the accuracy of the numbers that were put out then by the companies. So it's quite possible that it's the biggest show since like the mid 90s. So
I think it's going to be the biggest show since the Tokyo Dome show, the Big Egg one that Doc watched when he was a kid.
Yeah, that's kind of insane to me that this doesn't get more coverage because we hear all the time. Well, we just barely started last year where Meltzer was talking about how Mystico's been doing sellouts in Arena Mexico for the last 2 years. We just learned about that last year. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, it was visually, I saw that with my own eyes, but it to not get covered at all, it's kind of weird because like we're kind of centered on like a little bit of like what's mainstream, but these tastemakers make what's mainstream. They could talk about this stuff
Right.
like, but they don't. And when I think about like the growth of Stardom within this year, which is the main topic at hand, like it's crazy the growth this company had from just getting rid of Rossi and like they were losing all these other wrestlers that they had, but they had them lose on the way out. So we got to see Julia put people over on her way out. We got to see like
Well,
well somewhat kind of we got to see like
not
we got to
really. I
see-
think
yeah.
the only one who really put someone over was Utami put Saya over. I remember
yeah
correctly.
yeah we saw
No,
Tam,
no,
Yes.
she put Maika over. Or
Yeah.
I don't remember. She put
Tam
someone
lost
over here.
Tom lost to everybody last year. Come on.
Tam was the most. No, I mean like in the
Oh.
initial Rossi Exodus or whatever.
Yeah.
Like Utami put some people over. Julia not
Yeah.
so much. Julia was already involved with W at the time, so nobody expected her to really put anyone over. Did a time limit draw Tam on the way out, which was a great match, but yeah, she didn't
Yeah.
lose to anyone.
Yeah,
It kind of feels appropriate that their rivalries kind of ended up even because
Kinda,
yeah.
to be fair.
Yeah.
And I kind of wanted us to touch on what you mentioned earlier with like some of the wrestling media kind of really like disillusioned me about that because like I don't mind not covering like regular Stardom stuff whatsoever.
Yeah.
With the 5-star, I thought it was achievement for the company. At least All-Star Grand Kingdom did get some coverage in the major like new wrestling media, I guess.
Yeah.
But to see nothing at all like with the 5-star, even though they did great numbers, like even like the podcasts who focus mainly on business and stuff, they would have had a lot to talk about with the 5-star as well, and well it did. And with the show quality as well is crazy high this year, and the booking was
Yeah.
excellent, and literally nobody talking about it was a bit yeah, I just found it kind of weird. Like not even like Meltzer like kind of hinted at it on one show that he's gonna watch it tomorrow or whatever, and never got back to it. I checked out the newsletter and then he wrote nothing at all in there either. So
Yeah.
I thought that was
and-
kind of crazy that it's literally completely ignored by
Yeah, that gets ignored that they're doing record business for the company, but G1 doing shitty houses throughout the entire tour, that gets covered.
exactly. Yeah.
Like what? Like you, that's disrespect on like another level. I don't know. Like I know people will say like, oh, but why would that matter? Why does this matter? Because if you look at the business, if you look how much they're drawing, Stardom is the number 2 promotion in Japan. There's nobody really comes
Right.
close to them, and we talk about like how last year, right, where they had the big split with Rossi, people were kind of making jokes of, oh, it's gonna be like Noah because all these girls are gonna go, all these stars are gonna go with Rossi, and you know they lost to Mirai, they lost Julia, they lost Utami. Wow, that really paid off for them, didn't it? And and like it's kind of been like here or there because I guess like when there's so much to watch, like of course things are gonna fall off, but it's just weird that something that's being said like as a success is not being covered. That's just so weird. And I want to say this because like when Taro Okada took over, some people were saying like, oh, the wrestlers are gonna hate it because they hated the last guy. I think was it Obari, but the last since they were gonna say like, oh, he's gonna treat them badly or anything like that. But no, Taro Okada, he worked for Bushiroad and some other places. never involved in booking pro wrestling, right? Just a fan. He was just a fan that happened to work at the company, and so
Right.
he ended up taking over booking duties from when Rossi left, or that's part of the reason why Rossi was relieved of his duties, was Taro Okada had taken over. And I think at the time people were saying like, oh, who is this outsider? He's not going to do anything. He's probably going to tank business. And here we are a year later and they're doing like tremendous business. And it's amazing, right? You take away like the old guard. You take away like all those headaches and all of a sudden you're left with a roster who wants to help each other and put each other over to the next level. I mean, the last one that was left of that the last ones that are left of that generation are like are Siri and Tam, and both of them are very giving to. And I guess Sariano is part of that older generation, which is kind of crazy to say older because they're only in like their early 30s.
Right, yeah. Yeah, you talk about them like they're grizzled 50, 60-year-olds. It's like, no, they're like, mid-30s.
Yeah, because
like
the
top end.
It's kind of like yeah, that's nuts. Like because we have Tam Nakano on like during her last year, she did everything she could. She lost to Maika. I love Maika. She lost to Maika. She lost to Suzu. She lost Suzu Suzuki, Maika. We're talking about this new generation, Azumi, like freaking Saya Kamatani. Saya Kamatani, she made her, and Saya made herself.
Oh god, yeah. I mean,
she put her over. Like, to be fair, Tam put Saya over like for 7 years in a row, essentially. If you look like at their singles matches, I think Tam won like the first 2 matches when Saya was literally still, and after that Saya won I think every single match they ever had, singles match. Like she was just a little daughter basically. Yeah.
The only exception was like the 5-star in 2023 where Saya broke her arm, but like you could tell like Tam was gonna lose there.
I mean, I bet like I bet a good amount of money that Tam would have put her over in that match as well if she didn't break her arm.
100%. I because like she's lost the white belt to her, she lost the red belt to her, she lost her Stardom career to her, and she lost her full-time career to her. She couldn't have done more to put Saya over.
No.
Yeah. I love that part where she got ran over. That was so funny.
Yeah, that was a bit silly, but it was cool. Yeah. I wanted to touch on the point that you said earlier, Doc, with like the Exodus 2 with like all the big stars going. I think that kind of inadvertently created a situation which benefited Stardom, benefits Stardom now, I guess, because they were thrown into a situation where they had no other choice than to elevate new and young stars. Like they lost a lot of their big stars, and sometimes like I'm not saying they wouldn't have elevated anyone if that didn't happen, but like this they were basically forced to, and they did it. They came through with it. So you see like really young stars who have only like a year experience or 18 months, like Sayaka Kura, being thrown into the deep end immediately, being thrown into like a main event storyline and having to prove herself. And she did prove herself, and now she's one of the most over people on the roster. And she's only been there since like, I don't know, late 2023 at the earliest. I'm not quite sure when she debuted, maybe 2024. Yeah. So that's kind of crazy. And like there are other companies who lose a lot of their top talent and just refuse to put over younger people, and they're suffering for it now. So you can kind of see the difference there, and what Taro Okada and Stardom are just doing right and others are doing wrong, and how well it pays off with like the record numbers they do now. So yeah.
Well, it's kind of like a situation that like WF found themselves in like 1996, 1997, where all the big stars gone to WCW. They didn't really have anyone left besides Brett and Shawn, and then Austin comes along and they realize, oh shit, like this guy's going to be something big, and they've got no choice but to get behind him because they didn't really have anyone else. And had they had some of those old stars, like Hogan in particular, I think like his growth would have been stunted. That company probably
Yeah.
would not have reached the heights they did in like 99, 2000. And I
Yeah.
think you got a similar situation
Absolutely,
here
yeah.
with Stardom, where like a lot of those old guard are gone, so they got no choice but to push these young people who just like otherwise probably just would have like mired a bit and maybe wouldn't have gotten over to the degree they have.
You know, like I wasn't even thinking of matching it up with WWF of 1996, 97, but that fits so well because, like, you're right. They didn't really have stars at that time. They had Undertaker, Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart as like the old guard going up into like, but Shawn Michaels was seen as part of the new generation, you know, like
Hmm.
beyond Bret Hart. Like these are like the new guys. So like seeing like Stone Cold jump up, The Rock, Mankind, and at the time these guys were still in their late 20s, early 30s, you know. So in comparison, like they were
Right.
seen as the younger guys, and that's why they called the WCW the old folks home, where the old boys play, all that kind of stuff. And like it's kind of like a good comparison because you have the younger people making names with the other people who can still work, who can still go in the ring, who still have some cachet, what like Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels did at the time. You had like
Right.
both of them like, because I know the very famous match with Stone Cold and Bret Hart was the I Quit match, right, where Bret Hart won. He put him over in a by losing to him, but he didn't lose because he didn't tap. But then we see that nowadays because nobody ever wants to tap now, which is so stupid. But later on in the year, like
Yeah.
Stone Cold had beaten Bret Hart in a couple matches, like on Raw. Like he beat him like in a couple of no DQ matches. He beat him up on TV, and Bret Hart did give him the win back. So
I didn't think I thought that like Brett only ever lost to Austin via DQ, which it's just one of those things that shows that losing to someone doesn't necessarily mean putting them over, and
yeah,
putting someone over doesn't necessarily mean losing to someone.
yeah.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
putting when I say like putting him over, like there is that one segment where here I am talking about Mel. You know, let me not talk about that because like there was a segment where
Yeah.
Stone Cold beat him up and then like sent him off like on his way. That was the end of their feud. But like when we talk
Yeah.
about like Stardom, right? We have
Right.
let me see it like when it's terms like we have Tam Nakano, like what you said, doing everything she can to put over Saya, and Saya also doing her part. A lot of what's been happening a lot lately is Saya's done a lot of variety shows. For anybody that Americans don't really see variety shows that as something, but I know you guys have that like in Europe, but in like Asia they love variety shows. So her popping up
Mm.
on like and like being a TV personality, showing up like that, getting all the other girls to do like that one rap and all that other stuff off of her popularity. I think that's great. She knows how to use her connections to get on the TV and to push herself as a product. We see that a lot lately, where
Right.
a lot of wrestling promotions are afraid to push wrestlers themselves, where they would prefer to push the company over the wrestlers. But we're seeing like all these girls go out there and make names for themselves, and I think that's great.
Yeah. And I think that's another big point is like Stardom wasn't only forced to throw these wrestlers in the deep end and like to push them to the heavens faster than they maybe would have planned, or especially faster than Rossi would have done with some of them, that's for sure. But like
Yeah.
it's
God.
it's also like the wrestlers themselves are all delivering, right?
Yeah,
Like I mean,
Yeah.
there's maybe like Hanako is one where they try to push her a lot. Like they gave her the big white belt match and stuff like that, and it doesn't quite work out for her yet. That's like the only example name of someone that they threw into the deep end that didn't quite deliver to the level of where they needed it to, I guess. Nothing against her. I actually like Hanako, but like everyone else, like Starlight Kid, Azumi, people that they are pushing now, they are delivering like tenfold with their
Yeah.
performances, and especially like you mentioned, Saya really becoming like almost a mainstream figure on Japanese TV, and like at least in like these morning shows where she has like not a permanent spot, but she has like a 3-month contract there, where she's like every week on the variety shows.
That's
It's
huge.
working. It's working so well, and
Because
she's a star. Absolutely, you know.
Because I bring up
that's-
like
she-
I bring up like an old Akira Hokuto on this, right? So you guys know Akira Hokuto and Kensuke Sasaki, right?
yeah.
So there, I talked to my friend Chang Ching Blues about this. Chang Ching, not Ching Chong, and like that's my little joke about him. His wife, right? His wife is Japanese, and she knows Akira and Kensuke as that married wrestler couple. And mind you, they started doing that like 30 years ago on TV, and they're still doing appearances on these variety shows 30 years later, because those variety shows was how they became actual celebrities outside of wrestling. And
Right.
say like Saya actually does say like maybe she becomes like the joke was like Tam was trying to be an idol and failed, but now like Saya's actually being a TV personality and thriving at it. It's like, okay, maybe she does have a future outside of pro wrestling and being in entertainment and all that, because she's young enough, she's pretty enough, and all that stuff.
And that's kind of poetic too, right? Because she always wanted to be an idol, and like the idol groups, I think, told her she wasn't pretty enough and stuff. So she never made it there until Tom picked her up for Stardom Idol, like program that they tried to bring up that failed ultimately, but Saya became a wrestler through that, and now she's actually making it in like the mainstream. That's also a funny tidbit about like the 5-star Grand Prix, because like Saya is kind of, while she's doing all these mainstream appearances and then public appearance, she's been kind of taking a bit of a step back. She wasn't like in the semifinals of the tournament either or something. That's mainly because she was in the opener, and then she just had to rush over to like Yoyogi Stadium, where there was like a big rock, like some what was it? It was like a, what's it called? Charity rock
That's cool.
concert thing, great event, where they invited her to be like on stage and be like a personality there. So she had to just get into the 6-man opener real quick and rush out of there to the next stadium, where she had like a mainstream TV appearance, which is kind of crazy.
That's great. That's so great to hear about that, because a lot of times like these women are kind of just like they reach a certain age and then they're punted off. Like when it comes to Joshi, all of a sudden they become the older states, whatever, that veteran who's just like not doing anything. And for her to actually become a star, and like it kind of mirroring like how like, because like the guys who become stars, like even 20 years ago, they would do these appearances. I'm sure you guys saw that thing where Kobashi, Kawada, and Masawa were singing on Variety Show, right? You've seen that video before.
Yeah.
Like,
oh, that's a great video.
Like that's kind of what you want. And like I know like we talk about it here about how some wrestlers are so thirsty to get any kind of clout. This is like something that these people had worked for, to get that kind of, to be asked to be given that contract. You're asked to be put on that show and be given that. We don't like, even like for WWE wrestlers, we don't really see that nowadays unless you're John Cena, and John Cena is not even a wrestler anymore. He's an actor. So like name me a mainstream wrestler in America right now that's getting to do all these TV appearances. I don't think there is one. And like, I think that's great. That shows the growth of Stardom as a brand. I hate using that term, but that is what it is. It's a brand, because it is under New Japan. It's owned by New Japan. So like them being able to use this relationship to get bigger partnership with like TV Asahi and all that stuff, and like grow in their business. And the thing about their business is it has grown. And Taro Okada is like, I don't know, Taro Okada and Tam Nakano are the big part of that, right? Because I think like people said like Tam is part of the booking team, and for all of our complaints about like New Japan and stuff, it's all about who's that booking team in charge right now, and them putting up roadblocks to the new guys to get to that next level. And I know we talked a lot of crap about like Shota Umino, but like they've done that kid such a disservice throughout this whole last year of making him a loser. They've also done that to Suji. They've it's like Uemura too, even like Narita, like all these guys, these young guys with potential are like pretty much losers right now, and it's kind of it's like a juxtaposition to where Stardom, where like they have all these people like on the up and up, like coming up, and there's nobody stopping the other people from coming up. It's nice to see that in a company because we really don't see that like nowadays. Besides like somewhere like a Stardom, or like if I'm going to compare it to other wrestling promotions, Dragon Gate and All Japan, where now they're relying on all these young guys to help push forward the company. But we're not seeing that in New Japan. But you know that doesn't matter because it's happening in Stardom, and it's something that I like to see happen. I like to see people elevate, evolve, and be given chances to fail. If you don't give a person a chance, how do you know if they're gonna fail or not? You know, and Stardom is
Right.
giving people like Risa, like like Rina a chance, and that's great. And finally to see like Azumi put on a different level, where I'm sorry about this, Chris, where Azumi beats Saya in the 5-star, right? Eliminates her, and like
I knew that. Don't worry.
okay, so like Azumi like
Right.
eliminating Saya from that thing, and she's the New Japan Strong Women's Champion, and she's being sent out everywhere. She's being sent to the UK, to Arena Mexico, to AEW, to New Japan Strong shows, and she's becoming a draw in her own self. She's becoming known to these audiences around the world, and I think that's a part of their strategy is they know which talents will be able to get over in all these areas and what talents will get something out of it. But also it helps that Azumi speaks English, so that pretty much helps you wherever you go.
Yeah, well, that's been helped by she's basically been around Stardom since like year dots, and so first thing she always asked according to Chris Wolf, first thing that she always asked the foreign wrestlers who came over was what was the bad words in their language.
Shout out to Chris. I love her. Filipino wrestler,
Yeah,
legend. Didn't get enough of her dues, of her kudos, but I loved her wrestling. She's a really good personality. Hopefully,
Yeah.
I can have her on one day because I met her.
you might need to go to Norway for that now. I think that's where she's living. But really,
Oh.
really, really sweet woman, and like
Yeah.
honestly the best.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Top person.
I sadly missed her like peak in the promotion, but I always knew of her. I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Always love seeing her, and I check out all the matches. Yeah.
That's great. When you guys look at how Stardom has grown, because I know Chris, you were at the base level like 10 years ago when they weren't doing these houses. They did have like the claim
Wait,
of like
I'm sorry, Doc. Can I interrupt you real quick?
yeah go
To
ahead.
your previous point, I wanted to say something to your previous point, because when you mentioned all these New Japan talents, right, that they have done dirty,
Yeah,
like Shoda and Yota and stuff. I think I would also put Takeshita in that category, like how he
Yeah.
was booked over
that
the
finals
G1.
was disgusting. That
Right,
like
and
you book him as a
people
heel
are really
for the
like,
whole. You book him as a
Right,
heel
right.
for the whole
That's-
for the whole thing. He gets booed, and then you make him a face at the last minute, like literally just on commentary. I think they even tried it on
It's
Japanese
really
commentary. That's insane.
and
Well,
and I
sorry, Tim.
no, you go. I finished. Later.
Yeah, I think part of the problem as well is they've got dwindling tendencies. So the people who are left are the more hardcore New Japan people who see Evil and see all the other young guys as like company guys. Meanwhile, Takeshita's a DDT guy. He's just come from the outside. He's an AEW
Right.
guy. So why the fuck would they support an outsider over their homegrown guy?
Right.
I mean,
And then
yeah.
when he had like his 50 or 40% babyface performances, they had him like sell for like 95% of the match or something.
God, yeah.
It was
You know,
such a bad way to present Takeshita throughout the entire tournament, and then you could really feel it like by like everyone down on Takeshita.
Yeah.
Um,
You
yeah.
compare this to last year where
Was
he was
booked to shit.
getting like last year he was getting these pops when he was entering, right? Because he's just beating the shit out of
Yeah.
people, and then this year he's
Right.
taking the heat, and like they're not as
And
into him, which is kind of weird. Like, why if you're gonna push this guy to win the tournament, why are you not actually making him like a winner? Like that's what they did this year
Yeah.
with Momo.
yeah.
They made Momo like she was kicking ass and fighting everyone and doing everything to win, and and most of the
Yeah.
matches she was dominant in, and that's how you should book the winner. Somebody, because like if you're trying to make somebody a star, you want the crowd to believe that nobody can stop this person. But
Right. And what my actual like point was of this is actually, I don't know if you guys saw any Suri performances throughout the tournament at all.
biggest heel in wrestling.
It's like they did it so perfectly with Suri, like the outsider. Like Suri started this shit like months ago, talking shit about Stardom the entire time, and like really turning the Stardom fan base completely against her before she even came in. And then when she finally came in for the tournament, before the tournament in like the little like tune-up matches, she got ridiculous heat, and like that's basically the blueprint they did there. They just had to do the same thing with Takeshita, and it would have been great. But
Yeah.
they basically did like the exact opposite of what you shouldn't have done with Takeshita. They should have just watched what Suri did and copied it. I mean, it was kind of like
What?
it came after the 5-star came a bit after the G1, I guess, or like was slower to finish. But anyway, it's kind of baffling that they can do it like perfectly to a T in one arm of Bushi Road, and the other arm is completely failing at the exact same thing when they have the exact same like starting positions, I guess, for both guys.
What I love
Yeah.
What I love about the Sorry promos is she's smiling and so happy the whole time, and she's saying it so nicely.
Yeah.
Like that's the best part about it is like she's still presenting herself like with that idol, like, oh, I'm just so much better than anybody else, and there's like nobody that could like really stand up to me because you all are beneath me, but you guys could try hard. Like that those promotion cuts is so good. It's so good.
Proper
we
Regina
need-
George energy.
yeah, we kind of need that. We kind of need that here in the States. I mean, I do. I love that. I love this. I love this tournament. I love Stardom. I love that they're doing so much good business this year. That 7,000 attendance is crazy if you think about it. Because if you think about it, that's the largest attendance since Big Egg, and it's just when I think about the future of Stardom. I know on the last show, I think I was gonna ask about the future of like Forbidden Door and all that stuff. But like when I think about the future of Stardom, now they have partnerships with CMLL, right, and AEW and Rev Pro, and a lot of that too. They're also sending girls out to like MLW. They're sending girls to work TJPW, which I think is great. And one of the other partners they have is Senjo, Sendai Girls. And I think having that mix of talent and sending like your girls everywhere, like I talked about earlier, Hazuki going to work Sendai Girls, and just getting that time and getting to work in all these different environments, it's what you get to make a really good wrestler. Like when I talk about people like Ayako Hamada, you guys might remember her from TNA, right? and she would work TNA. She'd work AAA. She'd work Arjun. She was one of she was the daughter of Gran Hamada, and she had worked pretty
I
much
was about to
everywhere around the world.
ask.
What's that?
I was about to ask that. Like, was they like, hey, hang on, Hamada? It's like, oh, there we go, Grand Hamada.
Yeah, daughter of Gran
Can you
Hamada.
keep that thought for a minute? I'll be back in a minute, okay?
Okay.
Let me. Okay, I'm gonna pause right here. Then, thank you so much, guys.
Talking about the daughter of Hamada when I interrupted.
Yeah, Ayako.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, so Ayako Hamada, she traveled pretty much everywhere, from like Europe to Mexico through America, and like that was after her Arzian run, but like and she was 19 at the time when she was put as the ace of the promotion. For more on this, you can watch that video presented by WrestleSpective on his YouTube account, WrestleSpective on YouTube. Arzian, check it out. He when you give your young talent chances to work all over the world, to give them that experience of like traveling and what it takes to get over in these crowds who don't know you, and oftentimes we see that happen. Like, I'm gonna give this reference: Momo Watanabe, for until like 4 weeks before Revolution, which is probably my show of the year, she had showed up on TV and she started slowly to get over and more over. By the time the match was on Revolution, she was getting cheered over Mercedes Moné in LA. And like LA,
Were you
is
there?
a big
You were
wrestling
there,
town.
right?
Yeah, I was there live.
Yeah.
So when Momo comes out, she has like this magnetism to her, right? She has her bat, she has her
Right.
gold
Yeah.
robe, and then it's not just that; it's how she fought in the match. And like
Right.
as you watch the match, you hear the crowd progressively chant "Mo Mo 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 Mo," and like to her part, she was able to use her experience working in Japan in these smaller shows, and she works this big arena show. Like, I think we're like 20,000 in that arena, probably the biggest crowd she's ever worked in front of, and it's like nothing to her. And like that just goes to
Right.
show like the talent that it takes, because sometimes you have guys. I'm sorry, Chris. Like, you have Michael Oku, right? He works sometimes, like he'll work like in Arena Mexico, and it doesn't hit.
No,
Like,
no need to apologize to me about Oku. Don't worry.
like you get him in
And-
Arena Mexico and he doesn't hit, or like when he worked Ring of Honor in their Texas thing, you're like, it doesn't like work as well as does when it's a place that he's comfortable in, or that's familiar with him. But like you bring Momo to America, to LA, to Staples Center, damn it, Staples Center, not Crypto.com Arena, Staples Center, and like she gets over. That's big, like, because Staples Center, I'm gonna say it like, is kind of like our MSG in the West Coast, and like that to get over in front of this crowd, because Los Angeles, you guys know PWG, we're a big Southern California's a giant wrestling hub, and like to be able to get over for this crowd, that says a lot to me as someone that's been watching wrestling for a long time. And I appreciate Momo winning this 5-star Grand Prix, and I hope she wins the belt off Saya. And it's so funny that we're talking about them like this, because like these are two women that are like way under 30, that are already like reaching the peak of like their primes, and like it's so good, it's so refreshing, and we're not stuck with the same people and the same programs that we were stuck in 5 years ago, 3 years ago. Like we're moved on to like a whole new group of people, and that's great.
I certainly felt with Momo after she had her white belt run that she was kind of slotted into the, good worker, but never going to be pushed to the main event ever again, which was a real shame, because even at 19, she was fucking phenomenal.
Yeah.
But yeah, it felt like Rossi got like Arisa Hoshiki in, and then like Julia, and they were getting ready to really push Hana Kimura as well. So, like, basically, lots and lots of women were coming in, or were already there, but basically were getting slotted well above Momo, and felt like Momo was never going to rise up to be the sort of person who could win a 5-star ever. So this has been been a great year for her.
Yeah, and I think to what you said, Doc, her getting over in Los Angeles I think that was like 98%, maybe 110% work. Like you said, her charisma, her way she fights, her way she just manages to draw an audience in. Because if you remember how AEW presented her was basically the exact opposite of what you should have done. I know she had like this collision match before Revolution.
Oh, the Serena Deeb one,
Yeah, where she fought like Serena Deeb for 18 minutes, and Serena Deeb took like 90% of the match. I think she took more than 50%.
Yeah,
Serena
Deeb
dominated her for most of it. It was a disaster. I thought it was a disaster.
She got a banana peel win, which is like, that's crazy, man.
That was like, so fucking bad.
Like, I would have rather have seen Momo versus Yuka. That would have made me happier. But it's just,
that would be fun.
I consider like how Tony Khan presents these, as to going back to like our Forbidden Door preview, like whenever he has guests come on, it's up to the guests to get themselves over, because Tony Khan is not going to invest in people that aren't there. So like to see to see a Momo get over, to see Azumi get over, like those two just worked and they got over. And then, we talk about the most recent pay-per-view, like Bozilla got over like really quick in London, and that's pretty cool to me. And I just think that speaks to the work that the people in the Stardom Dojo do. I'm not sure if like Milano is like there anymore, but I remember he was helping a bit with the training.
I thought he was.
Yeah, because
he still trains rookies, and he still always does like when they have a new crop of rookies that's about to debut, he always does the exhibition matches before like like the dark matches in front of only the crowd. I think they show them on YouTube sometime.
That makes so much. That makes so much sense, because a lot of the girls now work the Dragon System style. Like it's because I know like the original thing of Stardom is like, because Rossi was a big lucha guy, right? So like the style was like lucha and UWFI style put together. So like so to have like Milano come in, and that's why you see these girls progress so fast, because in the Dragon System, you bring up people 6 months, they debut, and if they're not good within a year, okay, goodbye. So like that's why we see so many girls get put in, and they're putting on this effort like within 6 months. Like, because if we see like in the current Dragon system in Dragon Gate, we see that's like kicking up so much air. Like we got Mochizuki Jr., we got Homare. Homare is not even a year into his career. He is not even a year into his career, and he's having like a 4-star, 5-star match with Mochizuki Senior. It's just like when I think about like how the Dragon System works, so that you push people who have the propensity and the potential to be great, and you give them all the tools, and you make them like work these matches, make them do this stuff in the dojo and do all these drills. Because for my money, the most influential style is the Toruman Dragon System style, and to see in Stardom is great.
And a big part of that is also that a lot of the women before, like the way they get into wrestling is they are Dragon Gate fans first, and then they start trying out for Stardom. Like there's a whole bunch of them, like got into wrestling through Dragon Gate and then became wrestlers themselves. And they're fans of each other too. Like they got their like own little Stardom block at like Dragon Gate shows where like Stardom wrestlers would go and watch them. And the other way around too, I think Dragon wrestlers like Stardom as well. And that's really funny kind of too, because like Dragon Gate fans, like I guess in the Western world more than anywhere else, it's like kind of typical for like Joshi fans and Dragon Gate fans to not get along very well. But
that's strange.
The wrestlers themselves love each other. It's kind of strange.
Yeah, because I remember there was an interview a lot of the girls did, like where like Starlight Kid, right? she talks about about Despy and Dragon Kid as like her. Those are her two guys like that she grew up watching.
Yeah.
Who was that girl that
Yeah.
there was a girl that went to Dragon Gate with her parents, and that's how she wanted to become a wrestler. I forgot which one that was.
It's Miyu Amasaki, maybe.
Yeah. Like those
5-star
stories.
Miyu.
Those stories are great. Those like and what I love. Okay, for me the best wrestling there is lucha libre. That's the best style, right? And because there's dramatics, there's technical ability, there's flying, and you know there's just the straight up like hate that you feel from the matches. And when I watch Stardom and I watch Joshi, you feel the hate in everything that they do. Like that feud between Miki Iwata and Saru Ano, where they were leaving boot prints on their faces, and people. We're talking about like two women who are like models, like beautiful, like you would see them in like all the magazines or on TV. Like they are beautiful women leaving boot prints on their faces from kicking each other so hard, and that's a lot of the appeal of it.
Mika Iwata is one of my current favorites because she's just like every match of hers is so crisp, and she just always has this face that looks like a storm at all times, and like I just love how stern she looks and that approach to everything she does.
Yeah,
gotta be tough though, right?
Yeah,
being a fan of hers, I mean.
yeah. So like, what's that like? Three
man.
title losses in last. Yeah, I can't remember the last time I actually saw her win a match. I think it might be when she won the title off Millie.
Yeah, right.
It might have been when she won the belt from Ano. That might have been the last time she won.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
like
crazy.
but when I talk about this stuff, like this is what I love to talk about. You guys can feel the love, right? It's something that
Very
it's something
enthusiastic.
that you feel from the ground up, where you feel like you watch these women. I gotta stop saying girls, because these are women. Grow from nothing into becoming these stars, be getting like more and more representation in pro wrestling. I believe representation is good in wrestling. I love that just recently Riho came back to TV, and hopefully that means that Tony Khan can book more than one Japanese woman per quarter on TV. But you know, maybe Mina's disappeared now, so it's her turn.
Yeah, maybe that's kind of weird. Yeah.
Yeah, but like having Mina also leaving Stardom was good for the growth of putting more room for more people to come in. I gotta say that too.
Yeah.
I did love how upset like some of the Stardom fans were about her moving on. It's just like, guys, she moved on from TJPW to Stardom, and like she started doing wrestling a lot later in life than most women do when they do it. So yeah, she was obviously going to take every career opportunity she could, because who knows how long the ride's going to last, right?
Yeah, especially that American dollar goes way farther right now. My God.
Yeah.
Make your trip to Japan, guys. It's really cheap right now.
Yeah, no, everything looks like it's on a 20% discount. I can't wait.
It's great. Yeah, for us, it's great.
yeah. Obviously, for
Japan,
people who actually have to live with the Japanese economy, less so.
Which is actually another point that, now that you bring it up, is an interesting point, I think, about the differences, about the success really too. Because like one point that is reported, I guess, under discussed about the woes of New Japan right now with attendances is also just like the economic situation is not great in Japan. Yeah. So like people who are there are telling me that a lot of people there, like who used to go to like 5 G1 shows, are now like cutting back and can only go to 1 or 2 because they just can't afford to go to many wrestling shows anymore. Like the tickets got more expensive too. The economic situation got worse at the same time, and there's just a lot of people who are like a lot pickier and having to choose a lot more between shows than being able to go to multiple ones. So that's a bit of an underreported fact about why the G1 was struggling extra hard this year. I also heard that the temperatures were like fucking gnarly there. It was like
Yeah.
3 degrees hotter than it
Yeah.
that already is
Yes.
unbelievably hot.
People
So
need
that's
to
also a
know
reason why.
they don't use AC in those old
Yeah.
buildings. They don't.
Right.
So when you go
And
to
that-
watch the, it sucks so bad. Never, I hated it so bad.
And that's another fact that makes like the Stardom numbers in the Grand Prix. I didn't really touch on the numbers itself. It doesn't really matter. All you need to know that it was breaking in like all the ways you can imagine.
Hell yeah.
That makes that even more like impressive in that way, because like all other companies suffer by like the economic situation, the weather situation, everything about us in Japan right now. But Stardom still posts like some of the best numbers they ever did. So that's kind of my thing. Why I think it's like crazy how literally nobody picks up on how good they're doing right now. Yeah.
Yeah. I want to thank both of you for spending
How well, I guess.
basically your whole evening with me.
Yeah.
Like,
I wanted to
it's-
ask another thing. Sorry, before you finish it up.
oh no,
Like
I'm not finishing up.
because
I'm
you
just
mentioned
thanking
it.
you guys. I'm just thanking you guys. I'm sorry if
Oh,
I
yeah.
sounded out saying goodbye.
Okay, I didn't want to interrupt you. Then. Sorry, but what you brought earlier, the thing you brought up earlier, like Momo was the winner. She's in the same. You mentioned earlier she wore white in the finals. She already wore the white gear once against Mayu Iwatani last year in the IWGP Championship match. But other than that, she very rarely wears the white, and she stopped like hate like her own faction at some point from interfering and stuff. So I think like going into the tournament, I don't think if anyone except like the hardcore Momo fans who were probably also ironically rooting for her instead of like really believing it. But I don't think if anyone really had her and the plan. But if you really think about like, it's such a great booking move. Like it's such an intriguing booking move because you just don't really know what's gonna happen next, and you just really want to know what's happening next with her in the faction and with her and Saya Kamitani. So that's like really one of the most intriguing results. Never even thought about happening going into the tournament. So
Yeah.
I just wanted to mention that as well. How well it was actually booked.
That's such a good booking, and like also part of the whole thing about Stardom is narrative. Okay, when people talk about storytelling, right? Storytelling, it's not promos, it's not these magical segments you see on TV. No, it's not that. It's like making the narrative so that your audience at home could understand what's going on and being able to follow it to a satisfying ending. The whole narrative of the 5-star Grand Prix was like, oh, it's a tournament, and you didn't really expect Momo to get this far, right? You didn't, but she starts winning and winning and winning, and then you're like, oh god, she's actually gonna do it. They're actually going back to her, and like the long term Momo fans, I think that's what you were talking about. The hardcore Stardom fans that have been there with Momo, actually finally getting to see her get back to that level where she was at, dropping all the bullshit, like dropping the interference.
It's beautiful, right?
Dropping the bat. It's beautiful. And like that's the kind of writing when I talk about people about like what's satisfying is to see that kind of growth in wrestling. And like I hate comparing it to other places because I'm not going to do that because I'm enjoying it on its own merit, because it's simple, it's delightful, it's eloquent, and it's using the talents that you have, the young talents who are all willing to work with each other and make each other and push each other forward so that they can make themselves stars. And they're using each other in this way where nobody's like holding anybody back. And like that's something you really don't see in wrestling, no matter where you are. You don't really see people like trying to help each other and trying to put each other on like the next level and trying to get each other there. And what I could have compared that to is what Chris said earlier was the beginnings of the Attitude Era. That's where the last time we saw this kind of like push from people at a certain level. That's crazy, man. Maybe Saya is Stone Cold, in a good way.
Right.
Maybe she's The Rock actually because she's on TV. Yeah, I got this question
I've
for you guys. Like, oh, go ahead.
I've actually thinking about like when I got into the indies in like the early 2000s. Essentially, at that point, it was kind of like wrestling was kind of a, well, at least like Western wrestling was kind of a wasteland because like
Yeah,
WCW had died, ECW had died, and so you had like all the all the talented people on the indies had been like signed to WWF years ago,
yeah,
but you have this like fertile ground where suddenly there was like a bunch of young I'm gonna say guys because basically the infrastructure wasn't there for women in like the early 2000s like there is now, but yeah, you had all these young guys just like kind of popping up and just like actually kind of pushing each other and making each other better because like you look at like mid 2000s ROH, like you got like Samoa Joe, Punk, Danielson,
Brian. Yeah,
Austin Aries, you got all these guys who are like basically in their mid to late 20s, and only a couple of veterans on the indies. So like Eddie Guerrero was there for like a cup of tea essentially.
Steve Carino.
Raven was about, yeah, Steve Carino. So, but essentially, yeah, they were kind of like developing the indies as we know them now. They're like the pro stages were in that early 2000s bit where, and that was kind of an exciting time to be there because like essentially like no one had any idea what was going to work. So lots of people were trying out lots of stuff, and then
Yeah,
suddenly stuff developed and built up and gave us the next 20 years of like American wrestling.
yeah.
So a similar way, like where Stardom is now, we've kind of like we've had a few years, like we've had a couple of years of like all these young people, like essentially like with all the veterans gone out of the way, they're just kind of having to push and find their own way to get stuff done, and it's kind of worked. It's kind of gotten over. They like Okada got rid of like all the Rossi era stuff essentially because like he just got rid of faction names. Like even if like the factions that sprung up were essentially like just the same factions that existed before with different names, they were different. They did have different names, so they weren't just necessarily continuations from Oedo Tai, from Queen's Quest, from Stars and all that. And the only real bit of continuity they had with like Rossi's era was Mayu, but Mayu was essentially like kind of given her own playground with the IWGP title for the last year of her run.
The Mayuverse.
Yeah,
That's what I
which
would call it because like her stories were separate from what was going on, and when Siri beat her, I was so happy because like that's kind of been like a rivalry that I like, and then Siri loses the belt to the outsider Sari, and oh boy, I just think what they plan to do with all this stuff, yeah, I have trust in Okada to do it because you guys saw like that picture of him doing the tam pose before he ever worked there, right?
no, I haven't actually.
Was that
You
from
got
before he
to
worked
have
there?
I
I
that
saw
might
him
have been from-
recently. I saw a picture recently posted where he does the town post, but
Yeah, I
I
think that
thought
was from before
maybe
he
he
worked
did
there.
both.
Maybe,
Okay,
maybe,
alright.
but like
That's fine.
I think I'll say that right now because it makes for a better story. But like he's doing the town post, but like it's great to see someone that's a fan come in, blow everything, come in when everything's blown up, and just like be able to succeed in that fallout. Because sometimes we see people
Yeah.
come in when something blows up and they take over. Like we saw it with FMW where all these other guys took over, and that just straight up kills the company. And to see it happen where somebody from outside the wrestling business comes in, runs it like a business, and like does books. He's basically using like his like how he would book wrestling to make him happy because he's using like all these things and it's working, and I think that's great because it's working
Yeah,
on
and
me.
at this point, quick shout out if I may, because you did it on the last podcast that we did, but quick shout out to Chris Whitehead, CSW. He wrote a very great article on Taro Okada. You can find it on Wrestling, and he also helped me now. He did numbers and analysis for the 5-star, So he gave me all the, like, showed me how well they actually did. And he's gonna have another article in the Social Suplex newsletter soon about, like, Taro Kada's booking and Stardom's, 5-star Grand Prix, like, revision. So yeah, shout out to him, because,
Yeah. Shout out to you, Chris,
Yes,
you handsome devil. He's handsome,
shucks.
guys. Trust me, he's so handsome. Well, you're handsome. You're also a handsome
I've
Chris.
met him.
but
Um,
LA Chris is also
Yeah,
I've
so
met him
this-
before too.
Birmingham
like,
Chris is also a
I've met
handsome
him in
Chris.
Tokyo too.
But
Yeah.
Sorry, another thing about Okada, like Dan Reed, the Booker of Eve, like he like not long after Okada got into position, I think they started chatting, and Dan absolutely raved about Okada, about how like friendly he was, how approachable he was, how determined he was to actually build up a relationship, because Eve had worked with Stardom pre Bushi Road, and it was not a great experience. Like it was one of the crossover show they did with them. I think they got like 900 fans in York Hall, and that was one of the points where they were considering going out of business. And
Okay.
yeah, so okay, here's something crazy. You know how Indies have been able to book Stardom wrestlers since Rossi left.
yeah.
They apparently that was always an option. It's just the problem was that if you were going to book a Stardom wrestler, you also had to pay for a flight for Rossi, and you also had to pay for a flight and accommodation for a chaperone for the wrestler that you were booking. So if you're booking more than one wrestler, more than one chaperone. And obviously that policy has now gone away under Okada. These adult women are able to travel unaccompanied.
Yeah. That's
They
crazy.
I think what was like on one of those interview things, it says like you were allowed to date, where we're allowed to do all this stuff. So I think a lot of those new when they do the interview things, they always try to like talk about what kind of guys they like. So I think that's pretty important, because like Okada, was it Rossi still doesn't want those girls to be out by themselves, to be seen dating anybody, because he still lives in the 1980s. It's gross.
I think I think like definitely a difference in business philosophy in Rossi and the Bushi Road people is like Rossi concentrates on the fans who spend a lot of money and tries to get the most money out of them. And so for that to work, essentially, like the girls have to appear accessible and have no personal lives. So like the guys feel like there's a connection there, and therefore they will spend more and more money on the merch. Whereas a thing like Bushi Road wants to like kind of broaden out and get like, more fans who, might spend less per head, but that's more tickets sold.
I also do want to say there's been a growth in the female population for the shows. When you look at the crowd, there's been much more women attending shows, which I think is pretty cool. Because like there was some years where you just see just a bunch of salarymen in the crowd for Stardom. So to see like more young hip women attending shows, that shows growth in your audience.
Yeah, and then summertime would hit, and you'd see that one guy with the filthy fucking vest who was in the front row, hard cam side every bloody show.
Yeah, you'll always get those guys though. Always. I would not feel safe at sitting next to that guy. Even as a man, I wouldn't feel safe sitting next to the dirty vest guy, because there has to come a time where you change your clothes. But that guy he's like the guys who go to ECW all the time, always in the Hawaiian shirt.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And also the increase of like, I guess female fans is also good for the talent pipeline, I guess. I don't know if you've seen Kikyo Furusawa yet. She's a relatively new rookie on the roster. But she used to be a fan. Like you could see her at like every Hurricane and stuff. I never looked for her, but I heard that she was always like in the front rows at Hurricane, and
That's
then she
cool.
just applied to wrestle there too, and she's good. She's doing well so far.
That's
so, yeah.
great.
So yeah, that's also good for the talent pipeline, I guess.
Yeah. And we're talking about this company, and we're giving them such reverence, and we're giving the women of the past such reverence, and I appreciate that. I appreciate you guys coming on to the show and giving these wrestlers, right? These wrestlers the respect they deserve, because we always see see women pushed to the back a lot when it comes to this wrestling coverage, right? We often see, unless like you're doing a women-centered show, I'm gonna shout them out. Shout out to you, Ring the Bells. Unless like you do that kind of show, lady wrestlers are really never gonna get this kind of coverage, and I love doing this show with you guys because you guys have the respect and the love for this style, for this roster, for this company, and I appreciate that. Yeah, I can feel it from you guys. Like this is something that I feel like has been neglected to be talked about, and this is great stuff, guys.
Yeah, thank you for having us,
Yeah, just,
and organizing
just hosting.
everything.
Yeah.
Right.
And I always I always talk about this stuff, but like now that we're kind of like near the end of this, on my show, Tim brought up that German beer is the best beer. Now, Chris, have you had German beer?
I have. I actually worked in Germany for about a year, all told. So yeah, I worked in Hamburg. So 6 months in 2017, and then like 5 months in 2018.
Oh,
I didn't even know that. Okay.
Wow. So when you compare German beer to what you say, English beer or British beer, what's the difference?
Well, the thing is, like, it's a lot more regional around here, which I think it is in Germany as well. Like, Bavarian beer is going to be different from, like, say,
Right. I was going to
beer
say
Frankfurt.
that, like, if you were in Hamburg, that's probably like what I mean with German beer is the Bavarian.
Yeah, like I went to like a Bavarian house, but it kind of felt like kind of like, I don't know. I guess McDonald's is kind of like the wrong comparison, but it did. Yeah, you definitely felt the fact that it was a chain.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
but yeah, Bavarian beer is very good though. I've given that. Yeah, I think England, like, I lived in Bristol for years and we'll be back there soon, hopefully. And that part of the country does cider particularly well. Cider, absolutely amazing.
Okay.
I like when I stopped drinking, I was drinking like pineapple cider and apple cider, well, the hard versions of them. And the dangerous part of cider is you don't really taste the alcohol content, so you could be like four
Yeah.
bottles in without realizing it, and then you're gone. That's happened to me a couple times. I'm sorry, hun, for disappointing you. But yeah, like, to talk about this stuff with two guys who I know have a love for pro wrestling, have a love for Japanese women's pro wrestling, but not in like the creeper way that I know some other guys talk about it. I just like that we were able to have a very good, respectful discussion about something that's been neglected in wrestling coverage that we see this summer. And yeah, I just want to say thank you guys for coming on. Do you have anything you guys would like to plug?
I would like to say something real quick. Not to come across like what do you call it? Picky or like I never meant to badmouth, let's say, like other beers. I've never been to England and thought I wasn't able to drink the beer because it's disgusting or anything. England has good beers. I love Czech beer as well. I think I love Japanese beer as well. So I think there's a lot of great beer out there. I mean, Bavarian beer is my home beer. by the way.
I can't wait.
Bavarian is like my home thing, so I guess you always like the thing best that you grew up with.
Like I said, I can't wait to try, like, because my cousins, they live in, I told you this, they live like in Munich, so I can't wait to like go over there and have like my cousin like take me out for beers, because I haven't drank beer for so long. I think I forgot what
Right.
beer tastes like, so I'm looking forward to this German beer, because I also remember like I used to drink like Sapporo and Asahi. The Japanese beer, I remember Japanese beer used to be really sweet compared to other beer. But you know, this is now a beer drinking podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, if there's anything else
I've
you
got
guys
to,
would like to,
I've,
go
I've
ahead.
got to put it over Belgian beers, because some of those Belgian beers are truly amazing. Like
Oh yeah.
you get like they're honestly like they're a step above pretty much everyone else in Europe.
Yeah. The whole garden.
Hogarden's good. What's the one that comes with the pink elephant on the bottle?
Oh, I know which one you mean. I can't think of it. Isn't it just Pink Elephant? No,
That might be.
I don't know.
Yeah, I need to look up. But that was tasty. And
Okay.
quack, it's like 13%. So you can't drink
Oh
too
yeah,
many
it's
of them,
like
because
the
that's like
ones.
wine strength. But it's absolutely gorgeous.
Okay.
For for my American audiences, you know, we're stuck with what we got. So you know, enjoy your Blue Moon. I'm not sponsored by Blue Moon, but enjoy your Blue Moon. Have your little orange slice with it. Take a drink. You know, it's like the end of the day. It's like a little bit hot, so take your drink of whatever you're gonna drink, and please enjoy yourselves. Tim, did you want to plug? Did you guys? Again, let me ask. Did you guys want to plug something before we set off?
Sorry.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Whichever podcast this is gonna appear on. My own podcast is called Joshing Around. It's on Spotify. If you're listening to this on Joshing Around, you should check out the PW prescription. How do you even say it? Prescription.
Just the prescription.
Prescription.
The
Yeah, the W.
prescription.
The W is silent.
Okay. Doc's podcast. Well, I've been on the other week. So, check out his podcast. Check out my podcast. Chris has been on my podcast as well. So, check that episode out. And yeah, check Chris's stuff out.
Yeah, I'll put it over the Social Suplex Network, which I think is doing a pretty good job of covering Stardom and like Japanese indies in general. Not indies, sorry, Japanese companies in general. Like in fact, most of the world, we're trying to get some decent coverage from local sources. And yeah, looking forward to that article by CSW Chris. So about a 5-star attendance. I think that looks pretty fascinating, especially from the little bits I have seen.
Yeah, I'm
right.
definitely looking forward to read that.
Yeah. Oh, and for me personally, obviously my Instagram, where I publish photos mostly from the Eve shows I go to. So that's Fake Kenny Evil. So go there, give the stuff a like. Really appreciate it.
Right. I always forget to plug the newsletter for some reason. If you wanna on my own opinion of the 5 stars, like more review of the final show with all those matches, the newsletter should be out by the time you hear this, and the big front page article, spoilers, is gonna be my finals review and Chris's semifinals review. So Chris White, it is. So you can look that up and read it. I guess have fun with that.
Yeah. You know, since I'm gonna take this time to plug my things because I never get to. Yeah. This is Dr. Lariat, aka the Big Boss Model, and please, if you're listening to this on Joshing Around, please listen to my show, The Prescription. That is The Prescription, because we want you to feel good about yourself, because I'm also known as Dr. Feelgood. And please, if you like the music that you're going to hear on this show, please hit my cousin up on SoundCloud, soundcloud.com, and you can look him up. It's Nico Angelo Music. That's NIKKO ANGELO MUZIK, Nico Angelo Music, for any of this music that you're hearing on this show right now. And please love pro wrestling, like each other, and please, we all just get along. Thank you guys.
Thank you, Doug.
Cheers, Doc.
Goodbye.